Welcome everyone, thanks for joining me. Today on the adventure, this is the Dragon's Teeth rock feature. I don't know what it's actually called. It's called the Dragon's Teeth, but it's some kind of hike that you can take. And it's not a long hike at all. It took about 2 minutes to get down from the road to this rock feature. It's actually a lava rock feature, some kind of ancient feature. It's really cool. There's Molokai in the distance, the island. It was very windy out here by the ocean, as it always is by the ocean for the most part. And you get some epic views out here, man. Really amazing. The water is just such an incredible color. The ocean is just incredible. The amount of power that the water has, and every time I see the ocean somewhere at a different place, it's just an amazing thing to witness. You know, being on these islands out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. It's just incredible. But so here's some of these rocks, and here's this big rock feature. It kind of juts out into the ocean. So you're able to walk out on it, and there's just a lot of different little lava features. And I'm sure I missed a whole lot of them, a bunch of them. But here we go. We can see just kind of different rock textures, and the way this lava was just coming out and doing its thing, man. It was just really cool. It's really cool to see and to be able to hike on it and experience that in such a short amount of time, and not have to worry about hiking miles and miles. And yeah, it was just an incredible time. And at first I didn't know that I was going to do a painting here. But the funny thing is, there's so many things to paint. You know, this ocean crashing on the waves, island out in the distance, looking back towards where I came from. You know, every single view was paintable pretty much. The problem was it was very windy out there, and I didn't want to be out in the sun. This is kind of earlier in the morning, but I didn't want to be out in the sun directly for quite a while. So I couldn't paint out here forever, but you can see how dark that ocean is, how rich in saturation the color is. Just incredible view. Incredible view. And all those condos and stuff you saw off to the left there in that past clip. The story apparently, here's more of the condos. The story apparently is there was a big controversy in the past around this area, and they were going to build more condos, but they ended up coming across a burial ground, one of the largest burial grounds ever found in Hawaii, so they had to stop building. But here's my little painting spot, and here's me mixing up some color. So this is the thing about plein air, at least the way that I do it. And I've seen some other artists do similar stuff to me, but I paint in the craziest locations, which is cool with the way my setup is. My simple setup allows me to pretty much plop down wherever I want to, or stand up, and I can do a painting. This spot was probably one of the most challenging while in Hawaii. I ended up very early in the painting, I ended up like stepping back or bending backwards. I ended up banging my knee or my ankle, and it was really painful. But after that, I learned to just stay where I'm at and not move. So yeah, that's the cool thing about plein air, is like sometimes you're going to run into these challenging spots to paint in. And this one, like I said, this one was very challenging for me, just the way that had to sit there, the way the light was, the sun. You know, I had to find a shady spot for my sketchbook just to make it a little bit easier for filming, and just easier in general, because it was so bright. It was hard to see what was actually what was going on. If I was out in the direct sun, I'd have to squint so much it would just make my painting very gray, because I wouldn't be getting enough color into my eyes if I was squinting so much. So starting to build up different values, different colors, and as I'm painting the ocean here, you can see I'm getting some cool texture coming through, and I put down some wax resist before starting the painting process, because I wanted to preserve some of the whites of the paper, but I also wanted kind of a texture. And what it is the ocean waves crashing against these rocks, spraying upward. So I wanted to try to capture that with some wax resist. And I think I was pretty successful. We'll have to see here at the end of the painting how it turns out. I think it came out okay. You know, it does look like ocean spray. You know, it's definitely better ocean spray texture than what I've had in earlier paintings in this series. I love playing around with that wax resist and seeing the effects that it can achieve. I really need to play with it more, but part of the problem is I always forget the tools I have. I forget that I have more paintbrushes I could use, smaller paintbrushes. I always get so caught up in the painting, caught up in the zone, trying to capture everything and trying to paint it before the light disappears, that I forget all the tools I have at my disposal. And that can be a problem sometimes. You know, after the painting, I'll be like, oh, I could have used wax resist to get some more texture right there. I could have used a smaller paintbrush. You know, I have a few smaller paintbrushes with me. There's so many things. There was even one time where I ran out of battery on my camera, and I thought I didn't bring my extra battery, and I actually searched through my bag for the extra battery, and I was like, oh, I guess I left it at home. And it ended up, I got home, and the extra battery was in my bag the whole time. I could have recorded more, I could have done more. You know, it's funny when you're not organized or you just misplace something, you forget you have it. It can really hinder you or change the outcome of what could have happened, but that's how it goes sometimes. So with this painting, I'm trying to capture the essence of this dragon's teeth. So the reason it's called dragon's teeth, as you can see, what I'm painting here, these jagged rocks right along the ocean. It looks like a jaw of a dragon or something, or some kind of large animal. So I guess that's how it got the name dragon's teeth. Pretty cool. So like I said, I'm trying to capture the essence because there's so much out there. There's so many rocks. There's, as you guys saw, it's so complex out there. There's no way, I'm no John Singer Sargent, so there's no way, especially how small I'm painting. He painted much larger watercolors, probably like quadruple the size that I'm doing, and that was probably like the smallest he went. So I'm no John Singer Sargent, man, and as small as I'm painting, there's no way I'm going to be able to paint every rock, every shadow. You know, I can't sit there all day and paint rock for rock and do all that like he would. So I have to make it up. And I'm not completely making it up. I'm simplifying. And this was super challenging for me because I had to consciously tell myself when to stop this painting because I almost overpainted it. And I think I was lucky enough that I stopped at a very good spot. I probably could have stopped much earlier, actually, as we'll see here as the painting progresses. But so I start out with these very light washes, and I'm basically balancing. It's very gray, obviously, but I'm balancing warms and cools. We can see there's a cool gray, and then there's kind of a brown gray, and then a light, warmer gray. So I'm just looking at warms and cools in this scene, putting those washes down in a very painterly way because I'm trying to get the essence of these lava rocks, these different features, these different textures. Also putting in darker values where needed, and that just comes in time. You know, I start out with these light washes, and now I'm painting in these darker areas, of course. That's kind of just a general rule for how watercolor works. Not always the case, especially with the way I paint. I paint more like an oil painter because that's what I'm used to. Acrylic, you know, I did acrylic in the past, and I usually always started out with the darks first, and I did the same with oils for a while. And then when I switched to watercolor or started using watercolor, it was very difficult. So sometimes I still kind of I don't, like the ocean, I painted that in one layer. I didn't do a wash of blue and green and then go back over it with a darker color. I just went straight for the ocean color as best I could get it. So you can see how careful I'm being. I'm kind of, sometimes I'll just wave the brush over the paper. I'm not really painting anything. And that's me looking at the scene in front of me and trying to replicate that with the brush. Trying to figure out, what kind of mark should I make to simplify what's in front of me? How can I explain what's in front of me without making it look like exactly what's in front of me? And that was the big challenge for me on this one. Because some areas I did paint exactly what was in front of me, some kind of rock features, and then in other spots I just had to make it up. And obviously I was moving rocks around in my mind and visually on the paper. It's not like I'm completely making things up. It's more like moving shapes around and trying to figure out, okay, where should I put these darks? How can I make your eye move around this painting? Obviously, the focal point here is more the right edge of those rocks, off to the right where the ocean meets the rocks. That's kind of my main focal point. So I'm trying to create lines that move you into that direction. That's what I'm kind of thinking here, I guess. And filling in some ocean in the background there in the distance, so that really helps the continuity of getting that ocean in there. But I'm trying to, this painting I was really thinking a lot during this painting. I wasn't just copying what was in front of me. I was thinking a lot, because like I said, I'm capturing this essence. I'm trying to compose something, making some of it up or simplifying it. Super challenging. I don't normally have to do that for the most part. And I'm also trying not to overwork it. So I'm trying to think like, okay, when is this thing going to be done? And there was a few times where I was like, okay, I think I'm going to stop now. And then I was like, okay, I think I need a few more lines in here. I need some darks back here. The more I kept putting in, I was like, am I ruining it? Because I kind of liked having it look incomplete, especially down at the bottom, because my focus isn't there. I don't care about the rocks down in the bottom center or bottom left. Like that's not my focal point. So I don't even want to worry about that. There's no reason to fill it in. See, like even the strokes I'm doing right now, like it's not really necessary to have any of those. But having some darks in the foreground, more at the bottom, can help give it a little bit more depth. So that could be necessary. So yeah, you can see now I'm just putting in these very smaller shapes, and it's getting pretty close. I don't want too much complexity here, too much variety. I want some areas that are just flat color or don't have super small shapes. So this one I got lucky. I got very close to overworking it. You see, I'm just trying to simplify there. I'm trying to simplify some stuff, soften some areas, bring them together. And anyway, that's the finished painting. And there's the finished painting with my subject. You can see overall my painting is a little bit lighter for the most part, but in the end, I like it. It's a great painting, and I was able to simplify very well, I think. Got lucky with this one. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and stay tuned for the next one. Peace.